Hi, and welcome to Camp Cleland's Canal Adventure 2020. For this trip, we spent 4 nights aboard a canal boat in the Erie Canal. We rented the boat from a company called Erie Canal Adventures, located in Macedon, New York. Erie Canal Adventures has quite the fleet of custom-built canal boats designed to be similar to those you might see in Europe. You can see some of their boats in this picture. Each ship sleeps at least 6 people, but different size ships can accommodate families of different sizes. For example, if you have a larger party, you might want a ship with a double berth instead of a single. By the way, if you're like me and don't speak ship talk, a berth is a bed. We chose a 33 or 34-foot boat on our reservation form, which is the smallest size boat available, since it was just the 2 of us on this trip. We were assigned Canal on our arrival. Canal is a 34-foot ship with 1 berth and 1 head. The sofa folded out into a double bunk should we need the extra beds, but we didn't. This boat is perfect for a couple or a small family. Erie Canal Adventures teaches you how to operate the boat. Typically, a guide trains you on the ship for your entire lesson, but since we were renting the boat during COVID, we got a hybrid classroom and in-person lesson. The basic operations and functions inside the boat were taught through videos watched on site since our cabin had been sanitized. Then we trained on deck to learn how to control operations such as forward, reverse, neutral, parking the boat, and operating the locks and lift bridges. Our guide took us through Lock 30 before we turned around and brought him back to the marina and shipped off. My husband said I was the captain, but he looked awful comfortable behind the controls. Let me give you a tour of the boat. So when you come down the steps, the berth is on your left, and you'll see that your feet do slide underneath the panel where the controls are. Across from the berth is a small sink that goes to the bathroom. There is a shower. We had no problem showering in the shower, even though we were told it would be very small, but we're not very big people. There is a entrance from the berth into the bathroom, and then a separate entrance from the front so that you don't have to walk into sleeping quarters if you are sharing the boat with another couple or other people in your family. In the kitchen, we had a mini fridge, and we also had a stove and an oven. We did not use the oven, we did use the stove and the mini fridge. Here's the sofa that pulls out and becomes a bunk, and there is area in the front to sleep if you have extra people. From Macedon, we headed west. We spent the night in Pittsford and explored the town in the evening, getting dinner at a local restaurant. The view from the canal was spectacular at night, and the lights on the water made it seem magical. The first lock that we encountered on our own was Lock 32. Those big gates hold back a lot of water. It's customary to radio the lock when it is in eyesight to request passage through. Lock 32, Lock 32, Lock 32. This is the Canadice requesting westbound passage. The lockmaster will radio you back and give you a status on the lock. Sometimes there's another ship coming the other way, and you'll have to wait until they pass. If you're lucky, the lockmaster might have seen you before you could see the lock, and have already prepared the lock for you before you even radioed. Often they keep the lock half filled, and when the gates are open, you'll see a water line on the wall. You can see the bubbles in the water where the water is draining from the lock right under the gate. Eventually, the gates will pop open, signaling that the lock is almost ready for us to enter. Then the gates will crank back fully. Boats in the lock exit before you are given clearance to enter by the lockmaster. You typically get radio clearance, and then the lockmaster will turn on the light that you might be able to see just to the left of the lock. It turns from red to green, which means you're clear to enter if you didn't hear the radio giving the all clear. Inside the lock, it's really important to hold onto the ropes or your boat will float away and get damaged. I didn't get much video inside the lock, but wanted to show all of the water pumping into the lock as we locked up because it is quite immense. When you leave the lockmaster usually gives you a wave or shouts, "Have a nice trip," and then off you go. They usually come out to chat with you as you lock up or down, so you become really good friends by the time you leave. My favorite lockmaster was at Lock 32. She was so friendly and asked about our trip both times we came through the lock. Along the canal is the old towpath for the canal that has been converted into a walking and biking path. Along the way, we passed hundreds of people using this path. We even used it ourselves later in our trip. Lock 32 and Lock 33 are only 1 mile apart. We hadn't gone very far before it was time to radio Lock 32. Thankfully, the lockmasters talked to each other, and Lockmaster 32 told Lockmaster 33 to expect us, and the lock was almost fully drained when we arrived. Just like Lock 32, the gates open when the lock is ready. The light, which you can see on the left of the gates, will change from red to green when we're safe to enter. To drain the lock, water is pumped to the outside of the lock. You can see that here with what looks like fountains. As you pull into the lock, you should be on the front right. Lining up as you enter makes it easier to grab the ropes. You can see the water line on the wall that I mentioned earlier. All the water coming through the gate is because we are currently below the river level. Listen as the gates open. There are very big gears that operate these gates. After you exit the lock, the gates will close behind you. The lockmaster will then fill or drain the lock to half full. This is so that it is ready if someone requests passage in either direction. In addition to locks and lift bridges, there are also something called guard gates. Guard gates help to isolate parts of the canal in case of emergency. Examples of such an emergency might be part of the canal wall breaks, so flow of water into a section needs to be stopped to prevent water damage to the surrounding area. Some parts of the canal are elevated above residential areas, and this can be extremely important in those areas. Guard gates can also be used to drain sections of the lock that might need repair. In the winter, the guard gates can be used to prevent frost heave and ice shelves from doing damage to the canal. I found this section of the canal to be exceptionally beautiful because of the number of bridges and guard gates. This section of the Erie Canal approaches the intersection with the Genesee River from the east, and you'll be able to see when we cross the river and continue on to the west. We're really close to Rochester, so there are several interstate crossings, railroads, and pedestrian paths that we go under. Since we are traveling during coronavirus, there are not a lot of boats on the canal. Some locks on the eastern half of the canal are still closed for spring repairs that have been pushed back late in the summer season because of COVID shutdowns. Most of the boats out on this section are also from Erie Canal Adventures. Anytime we see fellow adventurers, they're eager to wave and shout greetings at us as we pass. There goes the Okeechobee! These canal boats top at 5 miles per hour. We make a small wake, but in narrow parts it seems very big. Here's an example of the type of wake we normally leave. There is barely a splash as it reaches the shore. From the water, you encounter a lot of wildlife you would not normally see from the shore. Turtles usually scurry into the water as soon as they hear you, but I did manage to get a quick snapshot of a few here. Artwork under bridges can range from crude graffiti to planned murals. Someone had graffitied Mario Big and walnut mushrooms hidden along one section we traveled through. Alberto was here. We stopped for lunch in Spencerport. Some towns have onshore bathhouses for boaters. These bathhouses have shower facilities if you're not a big fan of your tiny boat shower. Most of these facilities were closed due to COVID when we stopped, but we didn't mind our tiny shower. The museum here was also closed, so we just filled up our freshwater tank and went to get our shore legs back and explore the town. We love barbecue, so when a couple docked near us in Pittsford told us that we had to stop in Spencerport at the Texas barbecue joint, we knew we had to add it to the itinerary. The Texas barbecue joint's claim to fame is the 1-pound potato. Rumor is it can feed a whole family. I got a pulled pork meal. Each one-meat meal comes with 2 sides and a delicious cornbread. You can see my 2 sides were baked beans and potato salad. Mike got brisket with tots, and we both left very full and very happy. After lunch, we continued on toward Brockport. The water of the canal reflects the blue sky and it looks beautiful, but I would not suggest a dip. It was only a few years ago that ships were prohibited from dumping sewage or black water into the canal. Now most towns have a pump-out station that is either free or asks a nominal fee for use. Parts of the canal are raised above the surrounding landscape. You can see here that we are raised almost as tall as a tree, and the tops of houses are below. Lift bridges are similar to locks in that you have to radio a lock master to operate the bridge, just as you would for a lock. Bridges and locks are considered canal structures and are numbered consecutively. Instead of calling a lock number on the radio, you call the bridge name. Adams Basin Bridge, Adams Basin Bridge, Adams Basin Bridge. This is the Canadice requesting westbound passage. No, it's not green.
What's the one?
Oh, yep, no, it's green.
I think we timed it pretty good.
On land, a gate similar to those at railroad crossings comes down to warn cars. A middle X also rises from the ground with the bridge to prevent cars from passing through. You might also notice that there is a red and green light, just like there is on the locks, to let your ship's captain know whether or not you are clear to pass. Once your ship is cleared of the bridge then comes back down so that auto traffic can resume. Here comes the Otisco. It looks like they didn't radio ahead and missed the bridge. Whoops. When the water levels rise in heavy rain, the canal drains in some spots like this spillway. Often they're overgrown and you might not see them, but you can hear the falling water and know that they're there. As I mentioned before, these boats top out at 5 miles per hour. It is easy for a bicyclist to outpace a canal boat. Every lock and lift bridge features the American flag centered and raised in the middle of the New York State flag, which you can see on the left here, and the New York State Canalways flag, which you can see on the right. We are entering Brockport here and waiting for passage under the Park Avenue Bridge. Fishing line hanging off the bridge. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Brockport's docks are surrounded by 2 lift bridges. We just went under the Park Avenue Bridge, but there's also the Main Street Bridge. The lift operator operates both bridges and stays at the Main Street Bridge. She walks from Main Street to Park Ave on request for access, and once done at Park Ave, she returns to Main Street. This contraption is right at the docks near the dockmaster station. It looks like something out of a Seuss book to me. What do you think? Brockport is a pretty cool town to explore. This mural of the Erie Canal is over a bookstore downtown. This mural of famous Brockport people and events is on the side of a hair salon. Signs like this are all over downtown and help you interpret things like this mural, or the historical significance of buildings, like this church. The view of the canal is spectacular at night. Whoops, that shouldn't be a green light. Most locks and lift bridges operate from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We were docked very close to the Park Avenue lift bridge and woke up to the sound of fellow adventurers passing through very early in the morning. If you're a late riser like us, you might want to take this into consideration when choosing a spot for the night. The next town west along the canal from Brockport is the town of Holly. We decided to spend the morning off the boat and stretch our legs by biking to Falls Park in Holly. We cruised along the trail faster than the can of dice to find this gem of a monument in the park raised in honor of our great governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, or as the locals call him, King Cuomo, or Prince Andrew. The original canal bypassed the stream due to engineering issues and caused the detour to have a sharp turn. The original canal is now dry. Later engineering straightened the path of the canal and provided a way for the water of the stream to pass through. A path goes through the park where you can see peaks of the stream here and there. Each view of the stream is uniquely beautiful. True to its name, Falls Park has a beautiful waterfall. We made it back to the boat just before a huge thunderstorm rolled through. We turned on the radio and heard the Oneida requesting access through the Main Street Bridge. The bridge operator said she can't operate the bridge with lightning, so we're waiting until we get the all clear. The bridge operator just let the Oneida through the Main Street Bridge, so we're waiting for her to walk to the Park Avenue Bridge and grant us both passage through. The bridge operator is almost to the Park Avenue Bridge, so we've lined ourselves up behind the Oneida so that we're ready to go. rain is coming down so hard right now that it's really hard to see. I'm thankful that the Oneida is in front of us to follow. We've reached the intersection of the Erie Canal and the Genesee River. The Oneida is continuing on the canal and we're heading north up the Genesee River. We plan on docking in Rochester for the night. Rochester is straight ahead if you can make it out through the fog. The cityscape is quite pretty even in these weather conditions. The docking area here has both electric and fresh water, so we've hooked up. It also has this interesting sculpture. During the day it looks like women holding a water vessel, but at night it kind of looks like one of those scary tripods from War of the Worlds. Rochester looks much more beautiful in good weather. We've decided to shove off in the morning because there isn't much open in the city right now due to COVID. Under normal conditions, Rochester has a lot of museums, including the George Eastman Museum and the Susan B. Anthony House. We're seeing quite a lot of blue herons hanging out on the edge of the river as we head south. I'm wondering if the rain last night stirred up the fish.
Eyeballing us. Why'd you do it?
This bird is a white ibis. We're heading east through Lock 33. Tonight is our last night and we want to be close to the marina in the morning. Each lock has a sign showing upstream and downstream elevation and the distance to the next lock in each direction. We're going from 512.9 feet to 486.5 feet. Lock 32 is just over a mile away. I just spoke to the lockmaster a few minutes ago. She knew we were coming from Lock 33 and had the lock ready for us.
Got the green. You got the green.
The lock is almost fully drained right now. We're just waiting for the gates to pop open.
Thank you.
We're seeing a lot of Erie Canal Adventures boats today. There goes the Skinny Atlas. And there goes the Cayuga. We're stopped in Fairport for the night. This mama and her 11 adorably fluffy babies visiting us are worth the stop. Michael, look out your window. Look out the look. Come look. Hi, little friends. I don't have food for you. You're not supposed to feed the ducks. Hi. They're so cute. You have cute babies. They're cheering them on. Would you want to jump that far? It's a long way to go. Their wings don't work yet. I think that's why Mom puts them up there. Because then they flap their little wings. Look, they'll put them out like little chicken legs. Oh.
Trying to stay in the shadow because it's cool.
After hanging out with our feathered friends, we headed to dinner at Porterhouse Restaurant to celebrate our last night on the canal. Don't be fooled, folks. This looks better than it tastes. Fairport is a busy canal town. Lots of Erie Canal adventurers stop on their first night west like our neighbors, and lots stop on their last night heading east like us. We're here on a Friday, and lots of locals bring their boats in for dinner. Earlier there was so much hustle and bustle, but now all you can hear is the occasional car crossing the bridge. It's going to be a quiet final night. It's our last morning, and we're making the hour journey from Fairport to Macedon. We've had such a good time, this leg is a bit bittersweet. Canada Ice has opened our eyes to a whole new way of living. We've started looking for a small boat in our area, but since these boats were custom built, it's impossible to find anything even close to Canada Ice. Until next time!